Hi guys, welcome to another week on the webinar. We are so excited to have you here today because we are bringing some special people to your screens today. But before we get started, I want to know where you're from, but I also want to know your favorite pizza toppings because the ladies that we have on today love their pizza, and I want to make some connections there. So go ahead, put in the chat where you're from, and I want to know those pizza toppings. I know my favorite. I'm just plain Jane, guys. Just give me a good cheese pizza with a thick crust, and I am like A-okay. Awesome. So we're from Gilbert, Arizona, and we are excited to have you here today. It is nice, bright, and sunny here as we're going into our spring season. Arizona only has that for like a week or two, maybe, before we hit those hot degrees. But while we wait for some people to go into the chat, guys, we are live. So if you find your screen buffering at all, make sure you hit that refresh button, and it will bring you back. If it doesn't, guys, we are recording this, so you can just come back to this link, and you will be able to rewatch the webinar. And then also, as the presentation's going, ask whatever questions you want. We'll keep track. We're going to do a Q&A at the end, and we'd love to have those conversations with you. All right, I see some people from Miami. You guys got shut down recently, didn't you? Too much partying and pizza over there. We have NYC, pepperoni and black olives. I know that is speaking to someone's heart right now. And we have Denver in the house. They love barbecue chicken on their pizza. You guys keep putting that in there. Scotland. Oh, I think this person won today. They are the farthest, and they also love their barbecue chicken pizza. But I'm so excited to introduce you guys today to this power duo. They are self-proclaimed funky-haired boy band loving duo, and their business is called Launch Your Daydream, and they are definitely here to change people's businesses, and in turn they will also change your guys' lives. We have Kelsey. She's currently residing in Virginia, and she has the prettiest green hair that you will ever see. And she loves pepperoni and black olives. So the people in the chat who put that in there, you're definitely speaking her love language. And then we have Britt. She is the beauty with the red hair, and she is from Ohio, and she loves old world pepperoni and sausage. So anybody out there who loves that, you guys are made to be friends. And then the best part of this duo is their story and how they started their business. But I'm going to let them tell you their story. So welcome, Kelsey and Britt.
Hi guys, how are you? We are so excited to be here. Shamisha, thank you so much for the lovely intro. And I had to be reminded of my pizza toppings because I'm like, I think I've had so much pizza during this pandemic. I've tried so many different things. So you guys, we are so excited to be here today and to chat with you guys about our story a little bit, and then we're going to jump into talking about the 5 common and crucial mistakes that you could be making on your photography website. So Shamisha, are they able to see our screen okay? There we go. Perfect. Because we are just going to jump right into it. We're going to talk a little bit about our story. And if you go to our website, Shamisha just mentioned she saw the video on our website of us meeting for the first time. So we are Britt and Kelsey. We met actually through the Rising Tide Society back in 2015. And we actually started Launch Your Daydream before ever meeting in person, which sounds a little crazy, but that's how we roll. We have been official business partners for over 3 years. We're coming up on 4 here this summer, which is really, really exciting. And Kelsey and I actually, we had our own individual branding and website design businesses before we started Launch Your Daydream. And we decided to come together and start Launch Your Daydream because we really, really loved working with creative businesses, and we had the same audience, and we vibed. We actually started by hiring each other. I did Kelsey's website, and Kelsey did my branding. And we just loved working together so much and sharing clients and all of these wonderful things. It just made sense. And we are big fans of The Office, carbs, as you could tell with all the pizza toppings, using GIFs and emails, and the Backstreet Boys, which, spoiler alert, we actually got to interview a Backstreet Boy last week, which is like dream come true for us. And as far as what do, we actually create brands and show it websites for photographers. So Kelsey and I, when we actually started chatting about Launch Your Daydream and chatting about our business, trying to figure out who our ideal client was. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, you guys. But one of the things that we love is Show It. We are big Show It fans from the beginning, and we actually exclusively offer Show It websites and website designs to our clients. We have launched over 100 brands and websites together for photographers. And we really try to help photographers go from feeling overwhelmed and just misaligned with their brands to feeling confident and attracting the clients of their dreams. And that's what it's all about, you guys, right? Like, we want you guys to wake up and be really, really excited to do what you do. And one of the best ways to do that is to make sure that the clients that you serve are the clients that you love and that you want to wake up every day and take pictures for. So we're going to talk more about that, but I'm going to throw it over to Kelsey to talk about the first mistake that photographers make on their websites. So you guys take some notes here. Make sure you're not making any of these mistakes. And like Shamisha mentioned, feel free to put any questions in the chat and we can answer those after we're done.
Yep. And I just wanted to quickly address the one question I saw pop in about whether or not the tips would help web designers as well. Most of these tips are pretty much across the board, will help anyone with a website. Of course, the examples and things that we use are always going to be geared toward photographers, since that is our niche. But yeah, I think pretty much anyone can find some great takeaways. All right, so let's dive right in. Mistake number one that we see so often is neglecting your blog. And I know it can feel like a lot because blogs are intimidating, but if you are not blogging, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities. One opportunity you're missing out on is obviously showcasing your work and client stories. Sure, you can do that elsewhere on your website, but your blog is a really great place to be able to consistently update every time you have a new shoot, every time you have a client story you want to share. It's an easy place to do it. And once you've done it once, you can easily just kind of copy over the template and use the same structure moving forward. So once you get started, it's not as scary. Another opportunity that you're missing out on if you're not blogging consistently is connecting with vendors and potential like other connections that will help bring more people to your website as well. We are all about community over competition, and anytime that you're able to collaborate with other vendors, whether it be on a styled shoot or even just with other photographers, and you guys can kind of backlink to each other's websites, it's really kind of a win-win for you both. Finally, updating Google, which is huge for SEO, is something that you need to be blogging for. So every time you blog, this is where the consistent part comes into play. Every time you blog, it's letting Google know that your website is updated. Your website is relevant, it's fresh. The less that you update, the lower your chances are to be ranked higher on Google. And we know that that's everyone's like main concern pretty much, right? So the more you blog, the better. And don't get too overwhelmed from the beginning. Like we usually say, if you're not blogging at all, just start with baby steps. Try to do one blog post a month. And then once you've nailed that down, try to increase a little bit after that. If you are consistently blogging already, and this isn't a mistake that you're making, that's great. But you can now take it to the next level and make sure that you're actually using accurate keywords in your page names, post copy, and image names within your blog, because that's going to just take your SEO to the very next level. These are extremely important as well, aside from just getting the blog posts out there, making sure that they're actually optimized for Google to recognize them and send them to the right people on their Google searches.
All right, so mistake number 2 is no obvious niche. So one of the things that you want to do, you guys, is really give your clients on your website front and center the who, what, and where. So this doesn't mean that you stuff a whole bunch of cities or specialties into your homepage in one spot. We don't want you to be that SEO robot. We don't want people to land on your website and just see a whole bunch of cities and photographer, right? We want the human to come out, right? We want you guys to think about your clients. They're investing in you as a photographer, right? They are putting their trust in you as the photographer. So it's a really fine balance to make sure that you warm them up when they land on your website, and also making sure that they feel your personality, but you're also feeding Google what they need as well. So making sure that your location is front and center on your website. And over the last almost 4 years, as Kelsey and I have worked through Launch Your Daydream and have done some audits for clients and even just going back through and doing a custom website design, we'll look at the current website. And the most common thing that we see missing from photographers' websites is their location on their homepage. So if you don't have that front and center, specific locations, if that's your only takeaway from today, then we will have that be a win. But that's definitely something to make sure you take note of. And within the first 8 seconds of landing on your website, your clients need to be wowed, but they also need to understand what you specialize in and where you're located. So we're talking now, instead of just the where, now we're letting them know what you do, right? And so showcase that in photos, front and center. Show off your work. Give them that first impression when they land on your website that they are in the right spot, that this is work that they want to have for themselves, right? And then also making sure that you warm it up with you a little bit too. So if you are trying to figure out where to list other locations that you shoot in, but you don't really want to stuff them into the copy, remember, we don't want you to be that SEO robot, but we do want you to make sure you have some of those locations on your website. So Google understands it, and also your clients understand that as well. Make sure you're naming your images. A lot of the times, Kelsey and I will be working with clients and we will see their images are actually named something that's like straight out of the camera, or it's the names of their clients. And if you think about it, if you take a step back and think about it from Google's perspective, right? When somebody's typing in keywords, let's say it's Nashville wedding photographer. If they're typing in those keywords, Nashville wedding photographer, one of the things that you are going to want to make sure is that your images and your content on your website show up when somebody does search Nashville wedding photographer. So the way to do that is to make sure that your images are actually named with some of those keywords as well.
Okay, mistake number 3 is all about calls to action across your website. So the mistakes we see are that they're either missing, they don't really have them at all, or that they're kind of wrong. We would suggest that there's something else. So I'll give you some examples here. But first of all, we like to think of websites as taking your potential clients on a journey. So you are in control when you're designing your website. You can control what journey that client goes on. So from the second they land, you're kind of guiding them down each page and then leading them to another page and things like that. Of course, they have some control if they want to go ahead and browse your navigation menu, but ultimately you can kind of lead them on that journey. So think of it in that mindset. Now, every single page on your website should have a call to action. So that's mistake number 1. Go in and make sure that every page on your website has a call to action. If it doesn't, that's something you need to fix. And the good news is it's a super easy fix to just add a button, right? So make sure every page has one, but then let's also make sure that the calls to action on each page makes sense. Think about that journey again. What information do you want them to collect before they get to the contact page? What information do you want them to collect once they've gotten through your homepage? And speaking of your homepage, that's a common mistake we see is having kind of a simple homepage that's got your overview. It's got the stuff Britt talked about, maybe a little preview of who you are, and then it's like, okay, contact me. We think that the call to action on your homepage should not be directing them right away to the contact page. Because again, we want to take them on that journey. If they go straight from your homepage to your contact page, they're likely going to reach out with all those questions that you've already answered in other places on your website, right? So you want them to know a little bit more about the experience of working with you, maybe a little bit of pricing information if that's something that you're showcasing on your page, things like that. So we typically recommend from the homepage, then leading your clients to what we call an experience page, rather than kind of having like a specialty page separate from a pricing page, separate from testimonials. We like to combine all of those into what we call an experience page. And that way your client gets all the information they need, and then they know that they want to contact you. So then you can lead them to the contact page, and hopefully they won't have all those annoying questions that you know you've already answered on the website.
All right. So number 4, we are just going to, if you guys don't have your mobile site ready to go, well, that's why we're talking about it here. Your mobile site sucks. We're just going to get straight to the point. So we are willing to bet, if you look at Google Analytics, and spoiler alert, if you don't have Google Analytics already installed on your website, it is free. You guys can go set that up, and it's literally like a 5-minute setup, and it allows you to be able to actually monitor your website traffic. And it's something that Kelsey and I stand behind so much, because we literally use it every day from our perspective. And it allows you to see what kind of traffic is coming to your website, who's coming to your website, where are they coming from, how are they getting there? Like all of these really great things that will help you make smarter marketing decisions for your photography business. So having Google Analytics set up, you would be able to see where your website traffic is coming from. Are people on a laptop or a desktop computer, or are they on a mobile device? And we're willing to bet more than half of your traffic is probably coming from mobile. Usually it's about 60% on average for photographers that we've worked with. So if your mobile site is clunky and it doesn't work, and it's just like, if you're constantly feeling like you're telling people, go to my website, but go on your laptop or go on your desktop when you get home. Don't actually look at it on your phone, because it's gonna look like crap when it's on your phone. If you're finding yourself giving those excuses, give your mobile site some love, and Show It does a really great job making sure that you can actually customize your mobile experience for your clients too. And the experience on mobile has to be easy, but still give that wow factor. And it may seem like next to impossible on mobile to be able to do that, right? Because you only have a certain amount of space, but it is possible. And we've worked in other website platforms before as designers, and Show It is one, excuse me, that really allows you to customize that experience. You can use the same elements as your homepage on your desktop site. You can use those same elements on your mobile site. And you can move things around. You can make it work. You can make it a really custom experience without making it complicated for your clients. So again, the experience on mobile has to be easy and still give that wow factor. And we talked about SEO a little bit. We will always talk about SEO because it's a huge factor in making sure that your website is found. But Google is prioritizing mobile from a SEO perspective too. So if your mobile site is a hot mess, make sure you take a look at it today, take a look and see what needs to be fixed, or how can you just streamline that experience to really showcase the value of your photography services. The same way that you want to do on desktop, don't forget about mobile and give mobile all that love. And again, we talked about this a little bit. A lot of website platforms will simply take your desktop site and shrink it down. And that's no fun, right? And again, it's one of the reasons why we love Show It. And you can customize your site and have a separate mobile design without having to code anything or to do anything crazy or anything like that. Just give mobile the love that it deserves. Google's looking at it, your clients are looking at it, and they're probably both looking at it more than your desktop site.
Okay, mistake number 5, we're going to start talking about pricing on your website. And we get a lot of questions about this, so I think this is going to be a good one. First things first, think about putting yourself in your client's shoes. Now, I know ideally we want clients that come to us and already value us and understand that what we do is valuable and just say, yes, sign me up, I'm here for it. But the truth is, a lot of clients, photography clients especially, don't get it. And so they think, all right, I'm just going to show up, you take my pictures and we're good, right? And if that's the case, they don't understand why there should be a quality price tag on it. Why do you place this value on your work? They just think I'm getting pictures taken. And I know that sucks to hear, but a lot of clients out there, if they haven't hired a photographer before, they don't understand the full service experience, and they don't understand how much work goes into the editing style and how important it is to get a photographer whose philosophy aligns with theirs. So that is why we strongly suggest communicating your value in every way possible across your website. And this is, again, why we love talking about those experience pages I mentioned before. So the goal here, a lot of times we get the question, should I be showing my price? And we think, yes, at least a starting at price, but don't show it without context. So first, we want to communicate that value. Again, similar to how I was talking about that journey. Take them down the journey so they're learning all about the value. They're getting really excited, like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. This person gets me. They're going after the things that I'm looking for in photography. Look at all this stuff that's included. Look at the attention to detail. Oh my gosh, we're so much alike. I'm really going to get along with this photographer. All those kind of things that a client might value. Those need to be upfront first. So back up the value of your price by showing that all of that good stuff on your experience page. So some of those things are going to be like showing your process a little bit, like a step-by-step process. You don't have to get super nitty-gritty, but kind of show them what to expect. Show them that they're not just showing up, getting pictures taken, and it's done. Show them that there's a lot of steps and a lot of attention to detail that comes into play on your end. Show them what sets you apart from other photographers. Share some testimonials so that they see other clients have had an amazing experience with you, and showcase what other clients have thought was so valuable about specifically working with you. And then, of course, you're also going to be showcasing your portfolio, some gallery images around this page. So yes, your ideal clients want to see this value. They might not know it, but once they see it, they're going to start to realize, wow, this photographer is really different. This photographer is really special or aligned with me. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about your ideal clients, the ones that are going to really connect with you and appreciate that value. So you have to guide them. Your website needs to do this for you. Again, you're in control of taking them on that journey. So we're going to start with emphasizing why the investment should be made, why it should be made with you, and then you can show them what the investment is. So again, I can't emphasize this enough. Experience pages have been really successful for our clients. And again, when I say experience page, I just mean combining all of that good value and putting it into one page for potentially each specialty if you have more than one. But we often see photographers having, information about their packages and pricing on one page, information about the service itself on another page, and then maybe like galleries and testimonials on separate pages. We think all of that should be put together in one experience page per specialty that really takes them on that journey, hits home with the value up front, so that by the time they get to the price, they're not even questioning it. They're like, yes, of course, I see the value in that.
Absolutely. So some quick action items that we want you guys to walk away with, have some of these on your to-do list, is we want you to brainstorm at least 3 new blog post ideas that you're going to write and schedule out for the next couple months. If you guys are not aware, Showit actually uses WordPress for their blogging platform. So one of the great things about WordPress, or one of the many great things, but one of the great things about WordPress is that you can actually go in, you can write a blog right in WordPress, and you can actually either save it as a draft if you're like, ooh, I have an idea, but I just need to put some bullet points in here for now, and then I'll flesh out the details later, right? Or you can knock it all out and put it in there, and you can schedule it to go out next week, and then the week after, and another the week after. So you don't have to just go boom, publish, boom, publish, boom, publish, all in a row. You can actually schedule those out. So we are going to challenge you guys to do at least 3 new blog post ideas. And like Kelsey said here in the beginning, it doesn't all have to be just showcasing your portfolio. Think about those vendors, especially wedding photographers out there. Think about the vendors that you work with. Can you interview one of those vendors? Think about the different connections that you have maybe with other photographers that maybe specialize in something different. Or think about those kinds of things. Think outside the box from just having your portfolio showcase, but show them a little bit behind the scenes too of what it's like to run a business as a photographer, because I mean, like Kelsey said before, a lot of people do, like, they're not in this world, right? Like, they're not in the small business world. They're not in the photography world. They literally think that photographers show up, take a picture, send it over email, and your job is done. So why do you charge what you charge? It's the same thing for us. People think, Britt and Kelsey, like, I could just design a free website, and we're like, cool, that's nice for you. But from our perspective, it's about the experience. It's about much more than that. And I'm sure from your guys' perspective, it's that way too. So making sure that you think outside the box when you think about these 3 new blog post ideas and schedule them out for the next couple months. Check your homepage for your location and your niche. If it's not there, add it. So if it doesn't say anywhere that you are a Nashville wedding photographer and you are a Nashville wedding photographer, if that is not on your homepage, get it there. If you are a Columbus newborn photographer and it doesn't say Columbus newborn photographer on your homepage, get it there. If you are a boudoir photographer in New York City, if your homepage does not have New York City boudoir photographer on it, add it there. Double check each page of your website for a call to action. If one is missing, then fix it. One of the things that Kelsey mentioned earlier when she was talking about the CTAs or the calls to action, making sure you never let your clients get to the end of one of your pages without a call to action. So if you're on your homepage, scroll to the bottom of your homepage. If you don't have a button for where they should go next, put one there and make sure it's not your contact page. You want them to see the value. So lead them to one of those specialty pages or those experience pages that showcase the value that much more. On your about page, take a look, scroll through your about page. If at the end of your about page, you don't have a call to action that either leads them to an experience page or leads them to contact you or to your blog, put one there. You never want to have your clients get to the end of one of the pages on your website with nothing to do. And of course, the call to action on your contact page is of course going to be to contact you. So you don't need one there necessarily as a button. What you want them to do there is focus on actually filling out an easy form for them to reach out to you and book you. Finally, we have coming up with a list of ways that your process or client experience is unique and figuring out ways to incorporate that into your copy. That might seem like super high level, you guys, and we understand that. But think about how you can showcase the value of your photography services on your website. We want to make sure that your website just screams the value at the top of your lungs. And when they see your price, it's like, yeah, I get it. Even if they can't afford it, they at least understand, right? Like you're providing that value. And maybe down the road when they can't afford it, they will book you, right? So think about your process and your client experience and what that looks like and how that's unique, especially from your local competition there as well. And then we have considering to further your improving your website with a self-guided audit for photographers.
Yes. What is a webinar without a little self promo at the end? No, but guys, seriously, we wanted to share this with you because it's a relatively new offering that we have, and you can see it's a super affordable price point. So we wanted to share it with you because what it is basically taking everything that we talked about today and taking it a step further. It's going to help you audit your own website. So today might have felt a little overwhelming with all of this stuff, but the self-guided audit will make it a lot easier. It's going to take you step by step, and it's got tons of material in there. You're going to hear more of our voices. We'll be talking to you some more, walking you through things. We have a very detailed checklist of what should be included on your website, and we're talking every single page, step-by-step prompts for a website copy. So we know that part, like Britt just mentioned, can feel really overwhelming. And so we kind of just mentioned it high level, but this audit goes through really strategic stuff that we take our one-on-one clients through to help make sure that the copy is actually working from a strategic marketing standpoint to really connect with your potential clients. We're also going to help with some tips on how to communicate that value. I know we keep saying, communicate your value, make sure your clients understand your value. But again, that's really high level. So this is going to help you with how you can do that. And we also walk through a few real life websites, real clients of ours, to show you actual examples of this stuff out in the wild, as well as a behind the scenes of us doing a one-on-one audit. We used to offer these where we would, take a client would reach out for an audit and we would sit there and walk through page by page of their website and give feedback. But that was a little time consuming. So this was our new way to allow more people to get the audit experience, and you can guide yourself on your own, but you will get to see us actually walking through a website page by page and giving our feedback. So that should help as well. And then finally, some best practices as well for using your brand aesthetic, just to make sure that you're really hitting home with your brand identity across all of your pages so that it really stands out from an aesthetic standpoint. But anyway, that is only $37 and is available on our website, launchyourdaydream.com. I haven't really seen a lot of questions come in, but if anybody has any questions, we are here and totally excited to chat with you and answer any other questions that you might have, because we know that some of this stuff can feel overwhelming. We love to pack as much value into these as possible, because we know nobody likes a webinar that feels fluffy. So we like to put a lot of stuff in here, but we don't want anyone leaving feeling stressed out about your to-do list now. So if you have any questions, anything that could help make it feel a little easier for you moving forward, let us know.
All right, awesome. That was really good. So with the special offer that you guys gave, is that available full-time on your website, or is it only a limited time? Full-time?
Yeah, no, it's available full-time on our website. If you just go to launchyourdaydream.com, it's right there in the navigation menu. Super easy to find.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yes.
So as people are coming up with questions, I have a few questions for you guys.
Yes,
just
awesome.
to get this conversation going. Okay, awesome. So you guys talked about building out the experience page, and you said don't let it go to the end of your page without there being a call to action. Where would you say is a good place to put that call to action for them to go to the experience page?
Yeah, so we always recommend that they shouldn't get to the bottom of any page, to the end of any page, to the footer, unless there's a call to action for something for them to do. One of the things we do like to do though when we design custom sites is if it's a longer scrolling page, right? Especially those experience pages. Kelsey mentioned how they could be you include testimonials in your portfolio and the things which you could imagine is a lot of stuff, right? So you can put calls to action throughout that page to contact you or to reach out to you or anything like that, just to break it up a little bit, especially if somebody's been to your website before. It allows them to just be able to easily just be oh yeah, I just had to check something, and then click the button and go to your contact page.
Awesome. We have a question from Amanda. She said, can you name some top keywords to try to include on your homepage?
Ooh, that's a good question. So we typically recommend to focus on cities, right? Think about your location, think about your specialties. But one of the things that we recommend, Amanda, is we use a tool called Ubersuggest. It's UberSuggest. And it's actually run by somebody named Neil Patel, and he's an SEO freaking genius, and we follow everything that he does. And you can actually search Ubersuggest and find specific keywords that will work with your specific location or your specific niche. Because sometimes you'll think oh yeah, I should put in here Cleveland boudoir photographer. I'm just making it up, but Cleveland boudoir photographer, that's what I need to do. And then if you type it into into Ubersuggest, it'll actually show you how many people are searching those keywords per month. So if people are not searching those keywords, not to say that you can't use them, right? But you might want to find some other keywords that do have some solid Google traffic going to them, to make sure that, you can rank number 1 for Cleveland boudoir photographer, and that's all well and good. But if nobody's searching those keywords, what's the point?
Yeah.
So yeah, using a tool like that, we keep that one in our back pocket. We love it. It's our go-to even during our custom design process when we do SEO for photographers. That's one of the parts of our process here at Launch Your Daydream, is making sure that we use not just keywords, but the right keywords. And that's a tool that we keep in our back pocket.
That's a good one. I've never heard of that one.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that is. That's awesome. Okay, we have another question from Truly Ellie. Do you have suggestions for call to actions? Like, what kind of call to action should we have? I'm assuming it's outside of that experience page that you guys were talking about.
Yeah, that's a great question too. And some of this is kind of just up to personal preference and depends on the type of content you have, because sometimes, like if you have a really great blog, you might want to lead your clients there or to certain blog posts that maybe talk more about your process or things like that. But if you don't keep up with your blog yet, then of course that's not where you want to be directing people. So this is going to partially depend on your website and your content. But we typically, we kind of take them through the journey most of the times, where we start with the homepage, and then we'll sometimes have maybe like 2 different calls to action throughout the homepage, because we like to showcase a little bit of you right there on the homepage. You are a huge part of your brand. And so we want to kind of introduce the human behind the business once we've kind of gotten through the niche and stuff like that. So sometimes we'll do like a little intro to yourself and then a button that can take your clients to the about page. So there's one call to action on the homepage. But then ultimately, by the time you get to the end of the homepage, we really love to lead those clients to that experience page, because it's so important. And then once you're on the experience page, they should be ready to contact you at that point. Again, this is going to vary. You might have some unique additional pages in there that you want to lead people to, but I would just try to take a step back and think about, if you were a client. I know it can be hard, but try to think about it like, I'm looking at my website as somebody else. What would you be drawn to click on? And make sure that's taking them on the journey that you want them to go on.
Yeah. One of the things too there is we talked about Google Analytics too. And one of the things that you can see in Google Analytics, which is like super easy to set up and show it, is when you log into Google Analytics, you can actually see the journey that people take. And it might be different depending on how your website is set up or depending on your clients. So you can actually see somebody lands on your homepage and you can see what percentage of traffic goes to the next page, which is like, it's kind of scary. Like it's kind of scary that they track that information. Cool. Yeah, but from our perspective, we're like, that's awesome, because then you can make decisions based on that. So you can actually see with Google Analytics if they start on your homepage, or if they maybe start on a blog post because maybe they found your blog on Pinterest or something. Like you can see where they start, and you can see like, okay, they went to your weddings page, your wedding experience page, and then they dropped off. Or they went to your homepage, then to your wedding experience page, then to your contact page, and you know that you got an inquiry from that. So that's where that person came from. So it's really cool. Like dedicate some time to it, because it could be a rabbit hole for sure. But it's a really great tool to kind of be able to see for your website what are people doing, and kind of give you some ideas of how to improve your website too.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, so we're really getting questions coming in now. Okay, Yay! So we have a question from David. He said, you mentioned you want to take your visitors on a journey with your site. Have you explored making your website a story or using a story structure as they like travel through your site?
That's an interesting perspective, David. I think, from our perspective, when Kelsey does her brand design, right, she starts that in strategy. And when I start my website design for that brand, I start that in strategy as well. And so when we go through, we basically do more of like a deep dive in what the client's problems are. And it sounds crazy to think like, okay, they have problems and they're coming to me, like I'm supposed to solve their problems. But we kind of take that aspect of like, get inside your clients' heads, right? And so a lot of people will say like, yes, define your ideal client and what's their Starbucks order and do they shop at Target and all of these things. And that's all well and good, but you can't really speak to those people on your website in your website copy until you figure out, why the heck are they there? Like, why are they there in the first place? Yes, they want photos, but can you take it a step further? What problem are they having? What what can you do on your website to showcase the value that like you are that photographer, and here's what you are going to give them, not just photos. You're going to give them this experience, and this is what they're going to walk away from, like with tangible items, but then also what are they going to walk away from just emotion wise, right? And so yeah, I would say we don't necessarily go, I wouldn't say necessarily from a story structure, but it does kind of follow a pretty consistent path of making sure that they feel like you get it. And then they're going through your website going, yes, like they get it. They're speaking the same language. I understand. All is good. And they're that much more sold on working with you. It just breaks the ice.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Hopefully, David, that answers your question. If not, feel free to reach out to Launch Your Daydream. They're on Instagram.
Yeah,
you can reach out to them on their website if you have more questions. But we have another question from Chelsea. She says, should the main page be a combo of the experience page, since people sometimes leave your page after a few seconds?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say, in a nutshell, yes. You do want some of that value up front. It's going to kind of be like a preview of what else is on your website. So like I mentioned before, we also put a little bit about you on the homepage, but it's just a little preview. And then if that's something that they want to learn more about, they can click that call to action and go. So yes, we typically try to include some of that value up front. Of course, you're going to have gallery images across your homepage. You want to showcase your work front and center. You also want to talk a little bit about the things that set you apart, or a little bit about your approach to photography. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty of like process yet necessarily, but definitely some of those valuable things up front, because yes, you're right. Sometimes you do have the potential to lose clients on the homepage. So we want to make sure we keep them engaged, and that's definitely the way to do so.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so now we have another question from Bailey. Could you provide any recommendations on good photo file names to help with SEO?
Yes. So Bailey, take advantage of that Uber Suggest tool. You'll actually find some keywords in there. Find a combination of keywords that include your location and include your specialties as well. So again, if you were a San Diego wedding photographer, you would probably want to have some of your photos named San Diego wedding photographer -001-002, and and so on and so forth. I would do a mixture of keywords. Do some that are getting a lot of traffic from Google, get some that are getting, I don't know, maybe anything under like 100 Google searches per month. Like do a variety of those. You'll see once you're in there. It's really easy to kind of digest some of that with you. But yeah, I would do a combination of those. And one of the things you're going to want to do is when you name your images, just make sure you use hyphens in between each word. Don't use underscore and don't use spaces. Google, it's crazy. Like Google understands way too much, but it can't understand an underscore or a space, and it just like merges everything together. So it's like San Diego wedding photographer, and nobody's going to search that without spaces. So yeah, that would be my suggestion, Bailey, is do some searches on that Uber Suggest tool. We actually have a course that goes over Uber Suggest. So if you're interested in that, you can just message us on Instagram and we'll point you in the right direction. But it's a really great tool, and it's something that will give you those keywords and kind of give you some numbers behind it. And then you can name your images with those keywords to make sure that if somebody searches those keywords and hits images on Google, like hopefully your images start to pop up on Google image search too.
Yeah, and I would add another great thing to search when you are using Uber Suggest and trying to figure out what people are searching. Try different venues in your area too, especially if this is more so geared toward wedding photographers, of course, but trying to search the venues, because some venues, especially bigger ones, will get tons of searches. And if you're a photographer there and someone's searching for venues and they choose this venue and then they're like, wow, look at this gorgeous photo at this venue, then that's going to help you out. So that's another great one to test out, but make sure first that venue is actually getting Google searches first.
Yeah, and do blogs too about the venue too, because if you do blogs about the venue, then it could search up that way as well.
Oh yeah,
it's just coming full circle.
It's all coming full circle.
Awesome. We have one more question. I believe her name's Lynette. Do you have a suggestion to keeping people engaged with your website past the initial seconds they click into your site?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say there's probably a few different answers to this, but I would say that it goes back to your brand. So you're going to want to take a step back and kind of focus on your brand before actually like website strategy comes into play. So really keeping people engaged is all about standing out and really owning your unique brand. And so I know that's easier said than done, but this is what we help clients do on a daily basis, and that's because there are so many different photographers out there, and a lot of you guys start to feel like, oh, it's so saturated, how can I stand out from other photographers? But the truth is, you are a unique individual and you are your business and your brand, and therefore your business and your brand is very different from everyone else's. So it can be hard to kind of figure that out yourself sometimes, but once you take a step back and figure out your exact niche, getting really specific with your niches is a good part of that brand foundation. So not just saying I'm a wedding photographer in San Diego, but saying I am a outgoing wedding photographer in San Diego for quirky, non-traditional couples, and then you have brand aesthetic that feels really quirky and non-traditional on top of that. That's going to really attract the right people and keep them engaged, because the second they land, they're going to be like, this is for me. So I think a lot of it goes back to the brand really understanding your niche and what sets you apart and how you're going to communicate that. And it also just helps with your overall confidence as a business owner and being able to talk about your business to other people too.
Awesome. That was good. That was a lot of questions. We did a good job. You guys did good on the spot. That was awesome. So, guys, if you have any more questions for them, like I said, you can find them on Instagram, Launch Your Daydream, go to their website, fill out their contact page, but also don't forget their free website audit, or not free, I'm sorry, $37 website audit.
Practically free.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's a really good price for a website audit. But if you guys go on their website, purchase that website audit, and it'll do wonders to your website. But thanks for coming on, and we look forward to seeing you guys on our next webinar. Have a good day.
Thank you.